Bernie Sanders has reported his fundraising numbers from the third quarter of this year, and he has raised an insane amount of money, the majority of which, of course, coming from small dollar donors. According to CNN, Sanders raised a gargantuan $25.3 million in the third quarter. He raised $18.2 million in the second quarter and has bested that total by $7 million this time around. So this is great news, especially when you consider that the majority of his donors do come from small dollar donations. And just to give you an idea of how much the average small dollar donor gives, it's about $18.07. So that's good news. The Sanders spokesman who gave a statement to CNN, his name is Mike Casca, said that about 130,000 people had signed up to make monthly recurring contributions, and that 99.9% of its total donor base had not yet given the individual maximum of $2,800 per election, which means that things are looking good for the future for Sanders. He's gonna keep raising money.
No, that's an incredible sign and send shivers of panic and fear in other candidates in the establishment, because 130,000 recurring donors is gargantuan. And the fact that they have not tapped out. Remember, the reason Buttigieg's numbers are falling, even though they're still big in fundraising, they're falling, is because a lot of the rich people that gave to him already tapped out. They already gave him the maximum they could possibly give him. But for Bernie, since they're giving small amounts, 99.9% of them can still give more, which makes the other guys sweat.
So who gave to Bernie? What are the backgrounds of these donors? I think that's an important question to answer. And individuals who listed their occupation as teacher were the most frequent donors to Sanders.
Oh, I love that.
And this is according to the campaign, which also said the three most common employers of its contributors were Starbucks, Amazon, and Walmart. And I think if you've been following this campaign, and if you've been following Bernie Sanders specifically for years now, you can understand why that's the case, why the employers include Starbucks, Amazon, and Walmart. He has been pushing to get these companies to increase wages for their employees for quite some time now.
So I gotta make a point on that.
Yeah.
So number one, this is how democracy is supposed to work. You support your voters and then they support you. So what did Bernie do? He supported teacher strike after teacher strike after teacher strike and said you deserve higher wages and you're right to demand them. So who's the number one donors to Bernie? It's not Wall Street, it's not any corporations, it's teachers. Number two, he literally fought for higher wages at Amazon and Walmart, and he won at Amazon, and now they all get at least $15. You remember the video where people erupted in applause? These are not the companies giving to Bernie Sanders or their executives. None of them want to give to Bernie Sanders. It's the actual employees. They're like, thank you, you raised my wages. So that is super powerful. And you want to talk about a voter base that is devoted and will show up to elections? Man, if the other candidates and Donald Trump aren't panicking, then they don't understand politics.
So now let's go to Nate Silver, who loves to move the goalposts when it comes to Bernie Sanders specifically.
I love this.
It's so good. So if you look at this tweet from last year, he had written the following: the single most favorable indicator for Democrats in terms of their chances of taking over the House is fundraising, specifically individual contributions to individual candidates, which tends to be the most important / predictive measure of electoral success.
So we are consistent on that. I said the same thing back then. That was when the Just Democrats were running. That was the last cycle. And I kept screaming to the press, look at all their individual donors, the small donors, that makes all the difference because that's energy. They'll actually go up. If they gave money to somebody, they'll definitely go vote for them and they'll spread the message. And we were absolutely right. And Nate Silver was absolutely right. Now what does he think, Anna?
Well, now that Bernie Sanders is he's been doing well with small dollar donors, but he has moved the goalposts, and this is a tweet from today, October 1st. He says the following: my general view on fundraising numbers, a bad number can be legitimate bad news since it can jeopardize the sustainability of the campaign. But a good number isn't necessarily great news. Polls, among other metrics, are considerably more predictive of future success. He's so unbearable. I mean, come on. He's like dripping with anti-Sanders bias. And the thing that's most frustrating about it is he still presents himself as this like neutral arbiter of the numbers and facts.
Yeah.
Come on.
No, this one, he jumped the shark. So I'm now greatly amused. I mean, even he's got to see that and go, just kind of embarrassing. So look, the internet's gonna catch you.
It's a silly, silly man.
Yeah, you're absurd, and it's so obvious. And the fact that you can't stand him so much that you can't even try to hide your bias, it proves the case. I mean, and by the way, I predicted it ahead of time. Not in this, to be fair, right? I predicted in the case of the polling. So let me give you the second piece of great news. So Sanders is taking the lead in Nevada, and to be fair, he's tied with Biden, but Biden had the lead. Now they're both at 22%. They're both at #1, okay? So that's a new CNN poll out just a couple of days ago. And so I said after the poll came out, Nate Silver, wait for it. Well, one poll doesn't really mean anything. So you have to look at the combination of polls. And it's when other candidates he likes have a poll. Hey, wait a minute. This is important right here. This is the one that matters, right? So I was like, well, look, maybe I'm being biased. So let me go look at the polling averages. So, and it's really, really interesting, actually. You should do likewise. So Real Clear Politics has some issues, but overall, they've got a lot of polls and they have the polling averages. So I do go check it out. So, because the mainstream media narrative has been Sanders going down, almost over, Politico, on the day the Nevada poll came out and had him at #1. And by the way, if you were wondering why Nevada, it's one of the first 4 states to vote. So that's why it's so important. So Politico's headline was Sanders reeling in disastrous shape, et cetera. I'm paraphrasing, but that was really, I mean, it wasn't very different than that. And there's been 1,000 articles written about how he's done, right? So in the last 2 months, you'd think Sanders' numbers went down. No, his polling has gone up 2 points in the last 2 months. Now, to be fair, Elizabeth Warren polling has gone up even more. But so the story, when you look at the graph, is Biden goes like a roller coaster. Kamala Harris takes a giant dive down, and the two progressive candidates go up a little bit and up a lot. The story is progressives peaking, but that's not the story you hear from the mainstream press or Nate Silver. So that's 2 pieces of excellent news for Bernie Sanders. Now winning in Nevada and a massive fundraising haul, which he could do ads from, and he released his first ad today. We're gonna share that with you in a second, and make sure you check that out. So all of a sudden, we got a little bit of a comeback on our hands.
I love it.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.